Hi guys, and welcome to my review of Boku no Hero Academia chapter 169. The cover thing of Uraraka, really nice. That was all I needed to talk about right there, but that was really cute. That was just yes. Anyway, the chapter. It was quite like, I don't want to say nothing happened, but it seemed like just like a relief chapter. Because they were just culture fest. It seemed very much like slice of life shoujo high school manga. You know what I mean? Because it's like, oh, what should we do for the culture festival? Which is like anything set in a high school in this universe. So unless something like drastic happens, or like we get some major character development, or we have the traitor exposed, or something like really drastic, I'm hoping this this arc will be really short, like, cause it's not like I don't like those things, but they're just more pressing matters just at this very moment. But for a few chapters, I would not mind it, cause Boku no Hero Academia is the sort of series where I'm like, oh, I could totally just read 100 chapters of every one of these students just going through their daily routine. But yeah, it was cute. I really like that we had focus on a few characters that we don't really have focus on, like Ashido and Jiro. If you saw my top 10 characters, you know that Jiro is one of my babies. And I really like the Jiro Kaminari things, because those are like, they are really, really cute. Like, I don't care if you ship them up or not, but like, despite anything, they're just really cute. So yeah, that was really nice. Also, Minasa got wrecked in this chapter. Very nice. But yeah, it was nice to see like the cute side of the characters and just having them not worry about dying every other second. Which was also a point that was made in this chapter, like, oh, there's been a lot of stress going on, like, even with, like, people moving to their dorms and stuff like that, there's just been a lot of stress put on these high schoolers, which is like, these people are like 16 years old, maybe just slow it down just a tad, because too much stress on the body is obviously not good for you. But they also made a point to say that this isn't just a school festival. There's a point where the other departments get to show off their stuff as well, because in the summer sports festival, which was obviously more advantages for the hero department, because they get to show off their skills to, I was about to say sponsors, but this is not sports, to other hero agencies and stuff like that, who might hire them as sidekicks or whatever. Here other people can show off their crafts and their skills in management or whatever. Like, you even saw like management department, like they just, or economical something up department, they just dropped out of the school festival, because that was like, or not the school festival, the summer sports festival. So I like that there was a point about that, like the school still makes sense if that, yeah, I just, yeah, that was good. Also, much appearances of our favorite caterpillar, Aizawa, who's just too tired to do anything other than sleeping in his sleeping bag. So that's really good. Just quickly going through all of this to see if I missed something, because I have one thing I really want to talk about, but I'm gonna save that for last because it's still about Bakugou. Which is just, it's always about Bakugou, for fuck's sake. Obviously I'm gonna talk about the last page as well. Yeah, it really did feel like just slightly, I don't know, I want to call it like a gap filler or like a filler kind of thing, to just, sometimes you have those arcs or chapters that are just plain fun. I'm just quickly gonna put my charger on my computer because it just said beep and you probably heard that. Ugh. Sorry. Hello. Okay, I'm back. Good thing I wasn't naked under my shirt. Under my shirt. Obviously I'm naked under my clothes. Um, yes. I do think also this is like, I don't want to keep talking about Aoyama because I've talked 2 times about why I don't think he's a traitor, but he does just seem more or less like he's just a weird guy. And of course that could be just a really clever cover-up, and I'm not gonna say if you think Aoyama is a traitor, you're stupid. I'm just saying from my perspective, it does not seem that way. And I think, I don't know, just, yeah. But of course I'm also hyper aware of any movement Uraraka does, so, I really like when they put up the suggestions on the board, because you could see, like, for every suggestion, you could see exactly who put what up. I thought that was really clever. Just, you know these characters so well, you know exactly who put every single suggestion up on that board. So that was really great. I think I'm gonna talk about Bakugou now. Just cause, no, let's see. No, let's talk about Todoroki first. Let's talk about that first. I love how he was the person to suggest the the dancing and like doing something everyone would find fun, doing something that's stress relieving. English. I really loved it because one, obviously everyone pointed out, oh, unexpected. Why would you suggest this? Dancing? Why? Why would you be the one to say this? But I really liked how he mentioned that, oh, but I also got this idea from what we did at our hero license practicing thing, because obviously with the kids, they had this entire thing where it was like, oh, we get everyone together and have fun and use their quirks for fun, so I'm gonna assume they're gonna incorporate their quirks somehow. I mean, obviously they have to take advantage of some of their quirks because they are like the mutant types. What are they called? The anamorphic something types. But I really like that it was Todoroki pointing that out, because he was very much seen as a loner in the beginning, and he obviously was, because he was very self-centered and very self-focused. I'm gonna say, not self-centered was a bad word to choose. He was just very focused on what he wanted to do for himself, and he wasn't excited dismissive of others. He was just hard to have a conversation with, I suppose. Now he's contributing to the group dynamic and everything. It's really nice to see how, maybe not how far he has come, but just to see him develop these things slowly as he gains better and stronger relationships and friendships with everyone, and just see him get closer and not be afraid to say, oh, I think we should do a dance performance. So I think that was really nice, and I really like that little illustration of when he said, oh, this is something I learned from my training thing, and they're just like, what the heck do you and Bakugou do? What? And then of course it gives Mina a chance to shine, because again, it's really nice to see these characters, because Mina has always been this kind of character who, I don't want to say she's been comic relief, but she's been the happy-go-lucky type most of the time. The most we've seen of her was in Kirishima's flashback, I feel like. And that's kind of like, that's a crop out, because it wasn't even a flashback centered about her. It was about Kirishima and what led him to being the way he is today. So, I would be really happy if, even if this is just gonna end up being a relief arc, I would really want it to flesh out the characters that are kind of one-dimensional at this point. So yeah, that would be really, because even Jiro, I think, has had maybe not more character development, but more character exposition than Ashido or Aoyama or what's the guy that doesn't speak? I forgot his name. Koda, I think his name is. See, if I can't remember their names, they obviously not important enough, which is wrong, because I think every single character here is important. Sorry. I think I'm coming down with something, which is really bad. Okay, so I think we're gonna talk about the last panel, and then we're gonna go to my Bakugou thing, because obviously no one wants to hear me talk about Bakugou for 17 hours when it has no importance. Probably, maybe. We're gonna see. Okay. So the last panel here. Ida's watching YouTube videos, as you do. That was more or less what I spent my entire yesterday doing. And he has some video come up with a mysterious guy. I see two possible scenarios for this. Just cause, I mean, I could see, I suppose I could make up some, but basically I see two scenarios. In both scenarios, we do not know the guy on the screen, unless I'm just completely forgetting someone with this kind of design. But it's hard to tell because it's like you see a bit of hair, you see an eye, and like he has light hair, it's slicked back, and then there's a scarf, and I'm like, it could be anybody really. I think if it was someone we knew, it would be obscured more, or it would be very clear. Like there would be like a character trait that's so clear that we're like, oh, it's this character. Again, unless I'm just forgetting someone, which is very likely. I've been known to just forget characters in this series, which is why I should really reread everything once again, because I just forget. If we don't see a character for like 30 chapters, I'm like, who are they? Which is really bad. But anyway, I don't think we know this character. And just judging by how YouTube works, you would assume that this next one that's playing, unless it's been on a loop for 20 hours, in which case we're just so deep into the internet history that it's gonna be some crazy cat video from 11 years ago. This is gonna be another like performance video. And it's like my guess is that it's like a relative or someone, yeah, a relative of someone from class A who's like into performance. So my guess is like Ashido Jiro or Aoyama has like a relative who's a pop star or something like that, honestly, because I just don't see why this would be like, this doesn't seem like the obvious tension kind of last panel. Like it's set up that way because of how how he's obstructed, how he's just like, you can't really see much, but at the same time it doesn't fit with the theme of the chapter. And just like, why would we feel tension from this random guy showing up on the screen? I just don't see that. Like, what my first thought when I saw this was like, oh, this must be Aoyama's parents or something like that. That was legitimately my first thought. This does not seem threatening enough to be like, there's this villain and this viral video of a villain stabbing people with a microphone. I mean, because it has to be related to whatever search Ida was on, and you can see in the third to last panel that it's like a stage with like the lights and stuff, so it has to be related. Like, that's how YouTube works. I doubt that Horikoshi would go out of his way to be like, oh, let's just ignore YouTube rules. I doubt that you just because Horikoshi is very like, he has a lot of attention to details, and I just doubt that would be a thing. Obviously it could, I'm not saying it couldn't be, because that's my second option, is that it obviously is like the threat of the next villain slash someone who's gonna be important and obstruct justice or whatever. I mean, but personally I just don't see it, but just because the how the chapter was constructed, and it just doesn't seem threatening to me. I mean, obviously I could just be reading wrong, because it's like, oh, you have this happy chapter, and then by the end you're like, no, actually some intense murderers gonna come and kill 20 people at this festival. It could be that, but again, because this doesn't show us anything, it's not like this is showing us I don't know, the League of Villains walking down the street, fire behind them, and just wrecking everyone. It's not something like that. It's just a guy who, yes, could be someone we know, and I just forget who he is. Because he does remind me of a design of a character, but I don't know if it's a villain from this story or from another story entirely. And I'm just betting, because I'm so vague about this, that it is from an entirely different series that I just can't put my name on right now. But I don't know, because he has like the kind of beautiful eyes, but you know, the bai shoujo kind of style. He has those sort of eyes. So I'm just gonna assume he's an idol. Anyway, I'm gonna leave this alone, because I feel like everyone's gonna disagree with what I'm saying right now, and that's fine, because I've been known to read these things completely wrong. What I do want to talk about, because this is what I'm actually good at, characters, and more specifically, Bakugou. Notice all about Bakugou in this chapter. First, while he does make the very intense suggestion of, what was it called? The let me just get to the page. Murder Fest Deathmatch. There is no doubt in my mind that was Bakugou's suggestion. I mean, who else would have suggested that? That was not calm, Bakugou. That was crazy. Why would you suggest a deathmatch? No, stop it. Stop it. But other than that, his appearances were more or less just him. Like, he wasn't yelling. I don't think he yelled at all in this chapter. Or I just erased it from my mind. But his other appearance isn't even an appearance. It's just, where's Bakugou? Oh, he's sleeping. And I want to point out, this is not the first time where it's like, where's Bakugou? And people are like, oh, he's just sleeping. He did it at when they just got into the dorms. They were like, we're gonna do everyone's dorms. Oh, where's Bakugou? Oh, he went to sleep. They did it just before the Todoroki and Bakugou exam thing. Where they were like, oh, where are Bakugou and Todoroki? Oh, they have their thing tomorrow, so they went to bed. But you see Todoroki still being awake and Bakugou sleeping, I think. So, as you can see, there's a pattern. Bakugou sleeps a lot. Why is this important? This is important. It again depends on how much research and how much this is intentional for Horikoshi's side of things. Because one, it could just seem suspicious. I don't think anyone in their right mind would think that Bakugou is up to something evil, that he's a traitor, or something of the like. Especially because we had 2 panels of him sleeping when they said he was sleeping. Why wouldn't it be the case with the third one? The third one, you just trust that he's asleep. I mean, for all we know, he's a morning person and he wakes up at like 3 AM and goes for like a 20-mile run. But anyway, we should probably just trust that he's asleep. But why I'm pointing this out is just because one of the main themes for Bakugou's storyline is, I don't want to say his declining mental health, but his unstable mindset. Let's start there. Like, obviously he's been dealing with this superiority complex that he's been going on with Deku, and just how much Deku, having had a quirk before he knew what was going on, has played with his mind. And throughout the series, like these 3 or 4 months where they've been going to UA, he's obviously become calmer. And he's become more acceptant towards Deku's quirk, for 2 reasons. One, because we know that he's been slowly figuring out what the frick was going on with Deku's quirk. He revealed that, and I haven't actually talked about this. This is, I'm just gonna quickly say this. I am still working on the art review from the previous arc, but the reason it's taking so long is because I started doing it and then I had exams, so I had to put it on a hold, and I'm taking so many goddamn notes that it's taking forever, because the arc starts with Deku versus Kacchan, and I'm very, very passionate about that. So obviously it's taking a little bit of time. Hopefully I can get it up somewhat soon, but we'll see what happens. Either way, I'm gonna back to what I was talking about. So Kacchan has been slowly figuring this out, and also from their end of term exam thing, he's been like not accepting Deku as much, but he's calming down. Like, the resistance he had to Deku just slowed after that. And then we had 2 arcs. We had the training camp arc. I was about to call it a mountain range arc, but I feel like that would be misleading. The training camp arc in the mountains. Which, like, I could probably make some pretty good analysis about that, but I don't want to get too into that. But he was kind of calm. I don't think he yelled at Deku once unprompted. And then he got kidnapped, and then you had the entire Camino Ward arc. And then you had the kind of the Deku versus Kacchan part 2, right? Where he finds everything out. And we basically get a look into what his mental state has been at that point, because he tells Deku his insecurities. He tells him, why was I the reason for All Might's fall? And he literally cries, he yells at him, he starts to fight, because that's the only way he knows how to deal with shit. Which we know now is, I don't want to say it's his parents' fault, but it's a result of how he was raised. He was raised in tough love. Tough love. So basically, it's the only way he like understands to express any emotion, basically. Because it's like everything just, it builds up inside of him, and then it just spills over, and he's like, he's not the kind of person who cries like Deku, or talks about like a decent human being. He's the person who's like, ah, bam. And obviously that's not a good thing. But he's gonna work on that, obviously. Like, he did make an effort to talk, even though his intention was still to fight him. So, you know, still progress. Still got some ways to go, but still progress. Now, how is this related to sleep? So one of the, I don't want to say main symptoms of whatever mental illness, like, it could be anything, anxiety, depression, just anything, stress, anything. I'm not gonna make a claim that Bakugou is either depressed or anxious or bipolar or anything like this. I'm just gonna say his mental health not really in the best place. And sleeping is a very normal coping mechanism. It's a very normal way to just deal with your mental health not being in the right place. And obviously Bakugou is still recovering from everything that happened in Camino Ward. Like, you don't get over it just by having All Might talk about it and having one kind of fight with Deku. It's something you slowly get over. And on top of that, there's the extra stress of him feeling like he's behind the rest of the class because he doesn't have his hero license yet, because obviously him and Todoroki are doing all these other things, while he can read in the newspapers about Kaminari having this great save, or Tsuyu Uraraka having this other great save, and Deku doing something great. And obviously, because what I just talked about, his superiority complex, he wants to be the best. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. It just depends on how you work with that and how you express yourself, and just how you deal with it in comparison to other people, because wanting to be number one, wanting to be the best is not necessarily a bad thing, because that's literally everyone's goal in this entire series, and everyone handles it differently, and that's fine. But obviously, because Bakugou's initial way of dealing with this was not, I want to be number one, it's also, I want to be number one and crush everyone beneath me, which is obviously not the best way to go about it. So he has, like, his entire mind is, like, because he wants to change. Again, we know this from a few chapters ago where he was like, change is a thing. He wants to change, and because he knows the truth about Deku and All Might, and he understands that the path that he was on wasn't necessarily wrong, but again, wasn't necessarily right either. He's reevaluating his entire personality, his entire approach to stuff. And again, we've seen that he interacts differently with Deku, and just generally people around him. So I think the fact that he sleeps so much is literally just like a shout out to the fact that Bakugou is like going through a very big mental change. And while we may not see this change immediately, we're definitely gonna see, like, I feel like this is gonna speed up the process a little bit, because we talked about before, Bakugou's character development is very subtle, especially because we don't see the story from his perspective, and sometimes there are gaps in Bakugou's storyline when his and Deku's story don't overlap. But like this, we might be able to see more clearly, because obviously if there's gonna be a school, there's gonna be a school festival, and depending on whatever the next arc is, like if Deku and Bakugou are gonna be in the same kind of group there, or just have storylines taking place in the same place, we're probably gonna see Bakugou's attempt at changing, cause where before the change was an unconscious thing from his side, he's gonna be proactive in that change now, I believe. And I think the sleeping is just a little nudge to that, because yeah, he's just mentally and physically exhausted. That's just what I'm saying. And you can feel free to disagree with me. This is just my view on things, just because this is how I cope with, like, I can have really bad anxiety sometimes, and my coping mechanism is drink a lot of tea and then just hide under my, hide in my bed. That's how I cope with shit. Yeah, that, if you made it this far into the review, thank you, I guess. I am gonna assume that you either share my love for Bakugou, or you're just interested in my opinion and you're now like, well, that was weird. But again, this is why Bakugou is my favorite character. I love his character. Again, doesn't mean that I'm 100% behind everything he does, but I love his character and I love following it, and I think it's done very, very well and subtly and just very nice. So, yes. If you made it through, thank you, I suppose. Leave a like if you like anything that I had to say. Leave in the comments below though. What do you think of this turn of events? Because we just went, like, ignoring the little thing we have with Bakugou and Todoroki, we went from a very intense arc where we had a character death to there's a school festival. How nice. What do you think about the last panel? Because I would like some input. Just because I'm pretty sure my interpretation of that is completely off. I think I was also in a weird mood when I read this the first time around. If you made it to the end, I suppose you're still here, I guess. What do you think of my little Bakugou thing, which was probably 15 minutes long? And other thoughts you may have about this chapter, just, yeah, leave those in the comments below, and you can subscribe. This is not subscribe, but you can subscribe, you can like, and until next time, bye.